yield to the distinguished new member of this committee, Mr. Deutch, from 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delighted to have the opportunity. Attorney General Holder, thank you for being here. I want to just spend a minute after some lengthy discussions today about terrorism and preventing terrorism and trying terrorists. On the prevention piece, in particular the terrorist screening database, which, as I understand, is comprised of those individuals who are known or reasonably suspected to be or have been engaged in conduct constituting in preparation for, in aid of, or related to terrorism. Those are the individuals included. The question is, and what I'd like to hear from you about, is the Department's view on selling weapons to those terrorism suspects, and if you could speak to the government's determination that someone may be too dangerous to board a plane, but not too dangerous to purchase an assault rifle, and then specifically if you could clarify the administration's current position on halting gun sales to suspected terrorists, and whether the administration supports congressional efforts to keep weapons out of the hands of those individuals that are contained within the terrorist screening database.
Well, we certainly want to work with Congress with regard to that question about the access that people on a terrorist watch list have to obtaining weapons. Although I think we have to keep in mind, and this would be part of the dialogue, that the FBI is notified when somebody on the terror watch list, in fact, tries to obtain a weapon. And there are, I'm going to be careful here, but there are law enforcement equities, reasons why that is something that is valuable to us. And so I think taking into account the law enforcement equities we have, the law enforcement realities that we now have, we would want to work with Congress to talk about the issue, the very real issue that you have raised.
General Holder, in order to balance these law enforcement equities, wouldn't it be possible to both prevent those weapons, those assault rifles in particular, from being sold to that suspected terrorist, while at the same time still deriving the benefit of these equities and notifying the FBI?
So I don't want to get into too much with regard to techniques and how the FBI uses actions by certain people on terrorist watch lists and what that leads to, but it is part of the conversation that I think we should have in dealing with a very real issue. I don't mean to denigrate the issue that you have raised, but the very real issue that you have raised. That is something that I think we should work together and try to resolve.
I appreciate that. I would point out, as we try to prevent all forms of terrorism, the terrorists in Mumbai that killed 173 people, dozens of those murdered and injured were murdered or injured with an AK-47, and it does seem, and I appreciate your willingness to work with us, but if we have an opportunity to keep those sorts of weapons in particular out of the hands of would-be terrorists, it would be therefore possible for us to prevent tragedies of that magnitude from occurring here in this country, and I look forward to having the opportunity to work together to make that so. And
please do not take what I said as disagreeing with your last statement. There are a variety of things that we need to do and can appropriately do. I just, as I said, would want to make sure that in looking at this question, looking at this problem, that we surfaced all of the law enforcement equities that we have and deal with the very real problem, the very real concern that you have identified, especially in the last statement that you made.
I appreciate that, General. I hope we have the opportunity to do that soon.
Sure.
Thank you, and I yield back my time.
The gentleman yields back his time. It gives me great pleasure